And today we're so conditioned to try to avoid any kind of suffering, sorrow, sickness, whatever it is, that we never step out in obedience to Him. So if He is constraining you, if He is calling you to do something and you don't know the future, or you fear worse that it's going to bring suffering, do it anyhow. The Apostle Paul in this farewell to the Ephesians does three things. He looks in three directions. He's sitting with them, he's gathered with them, and he looks back, and he looks around, and he looks ahead. So what does he do when he looks back? Well, what he does, he looks back and he remembers his time with them, a total of about 3 years. But there's a second thing he does when he looks back. He remembers how he served them. Paul did not serve the Lord in Ephesus, or anywhere else for that matter, for what he could get out of it, but for what he could give to it. So Paul, when he says goodbye, he looks in a direction, he looks back first, and he remembers his time with them, and he remembers how he served them and how he sacrificed them. But notice third, he looks back and he remembers his tears. There were times he cried with them. He sorrowed with them. He felt their pain. He had compassion on them. But that's not all. Fourth, he looks back and he remembers their trials. Serving the Lord with all humility and with tears and with trials. The Ephesians were a unique group of people. They were the one, I think, that perhaps he was the most fond of. He spent the most time, but he also suffered the most too. And lastly, he remembers their teaching. But now he looks in a different direction. He not only looks back, but he looks around. He looks around and he resolves to be constrained by the Spirit. Something happened in his life on the road to Damascus. He moved from being a self-directed, self-driven man to being a Spirit-driven man. Not only is he constrained by the Spirit, but he is content not knowing the future. Here's the key to being content to not knowing the future. It is making sure that you are led or you are constrained by the Spirit. So nevertheless, he looks around and he resolves to be courageous enough to keep going to Jerusalem even when he knew it would bring him suffering, which of course it did. No wonder then when Paul got to the end of his life, he said three things that I hope can be said about you, that I hope will be said about me. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. But now he looks one other direction. He looks ahead and he reminds. He reminds them of their duty and he reminds them of the dangers. He reminds them of the dangers after he's gone. It's in Acts chapter 20, verse 29. I know that after my departure, not only are wolves going to come in from the outside, but there are going to be some people who are going to come in from the inside, speaking twisted things to draw the disciples after them. So what's the answer? Be ready, be alert. So there you have it. The Apostle Paul's farewell speech to the Ephesians. First he looks back and he remembers. He remembers his time with them, how he served them. In all humility, his tears, his trials, and his teaching. And then he looks around and he resolves for him personally. He says he resolves to be controlled or constrained by the Spirit, to be content not knowing the future, and also to be courageous knowing that the future he does know will include suffering. And third, he looks ahead and he reminds the Ephesians first of their duty to pay attention to yourself and also to the flock, and second, of the dangers after he's gone, dangers from without and dangers from within.